A man with a past he never spoke about. A life filled with secrets, and a murder that remains unsolved to this day. Lyle Walker was not just another victim, he was a mystery waiting to be uncovered. The question is, who wanted him dead? And why? On the night of September 14, 1998, in the quiet town of Ashwood, Lyle Walker was found dead in his apartment. No forced entry, no apparent signs of struggle. And yet, something didn't add up. Local businessman Lyle Walker was found murdered in his residence earlier this morning. Police have yet to release any details on potential suspects or a motive. Who was Lyle Walker? To his colleagues, he was a successful entrepreneur. To his neighbors, he was the quiet man who kept to himself. But beneath the surface, Lyle was hiding something that may have cost him his life. A shocking discovery, a trail of cryptic clues, and a long list of unanswered questions. In this video, we'll uncover the details of Lyle Walker's life, the secrets he kept, and the chilling theories surrounding his murder. But before we dive in, ask yourself this: how well do we really know the people around us? Before he became the center of a chilling mystery, before his name was whispered in hushed conversations, Lyle Walker was just another man, a son, a businessman, a quiet figure in a town that would later struggle to understand him. Lyle was born on February 3, 1965 in Ashwood, a town where everyone knew each other, or at least they thought they did. His father owned a modest auto repair shop, his mother was a school teacher. From the outside it was an ordinary life, but even as a child Lyle was different. Classmates would later recall that Lyle was always distant. He was intelligent, no doubt about that, but there was something about him, something guarded. He was the kind of person who watched rather than spoke, who listened rather than shared. Despite his quiet nature, Lyle was ambitious. After high school he left Ashwood for nearly a decade, moving between cities, chasing opportunities. No one really knew what he did during those years. He rarely spoke about them. And when he returned, he was a different man. By the early 1990s, Lyle Walker had made a name for himself in business. He opened a small real estate firm, flipping properties and making smart investments. He was successful, well respected, but still there was something distant about him. Even those closest to him would say he never truly let people in. Some say Lyle was careful. Others say he was paranoid. He never used the same coffee shop twice in a row. He changed his locks every few months. And whenever someone asked about his past, he had a way of changing the subject. There were rumors, of course, deals made in the dark, business rivals who suddenly backed out of contracts, missing money that no one could trace. But Lyle never addressed these whispers. He carried on, as if they didn't exist. Friends would later recall how in the months leading up to his death, Lyle seemed different, more on edge. He stopped going out as much. He became wary of unexpected phone calls. It was as if he knew something was coming, but he never told anyone what it was. The life of Lyle Walker was filled with ambition, secrets, and unanswered questions. But what no one realized then was that his past was about to catch up with him. And on September 14, 1998, it finally did. September 14, 1998. A quiet Monday night in Ashwood. The kind of night where nothing ever happens. Until it does. 911, what's your emergency? Yes, I think something's wrong with my neighbor. His door is open, but he's not answering. And there's blood. At 10:47 p.m., police arrived at Lyle Walker's apartment. What they found inside would raise more questions than answers. Lyle was found in his living room, slumped over his coffee table. No forced entry, no signs of struggle, just him. And a single gunshot wound to the chest. The first thing investigators noticed? The scene was too clean. Nothing was missing. His wallet, his watch, even the cash on the counter, untouched. If this was a robbery, it was the strangest one they'd ever seen. The bullet, a .38 caliber round, a common handgun, but no weapon was found at the scene. Whoever pulled the trigger took the gun with them. And then, there was something even stranger. Lyle's laptop was missing, his office desk drawers ransacked. But only one file was gone, a folder labeled Private. No one knew what was inside. No one ever would. The coroner's report confirmed that Lyle died instantly, no defensive wounds, no signs that he even saw it coming, which led police to their first major question. Did Lyle Walker let his killer in? I heard voices around 10, but nothing loud, just talking. I didn't think much of it, and then, maybe 10 minutes later, silence. Who was this visitor? A friend? A business partner? Someone from his past? Detectives had no answers, but they did have a growing list of suspects. A business rival with a score to settle, a former friend turned enemy, or someone no one had ever suspected. But as police dug deeper, the mystery only grew darker. Lyle Walker's murder wasn't just a random crime, it was calculated, planned, and it was only the beginning of a much larger story. A man like Lyle Walker doesn't just end up dead without a reason. Someone wanted him gone, but the question is, who? The police had no shortage of theories. Some were straightforward, others, far more sinister. But every single one led to the same chilling truth: Lyle Walker had secrets, and one of them got him killed. The first theory: someone close to Lyle had a reason to want him dead. A friend, a lover, or maybe an enemy pretending to be a friend. Daniel Carter was once Lyle's right-hand man. They built a real estate empire together until everything fell apart. Money went missing, accusations were made, and then Daniel was cut out of the business entirely. Daniel had motive. He had a history of confrontation, but he also had an airtight alibi. Security cameras placed him at a restaurant across town at the time of the murder, and just like that, the strongest suspect was off the list. Then there was theory number 2. Lyle wasn't just a businessman, he was a dealmaker, and not every deal was clean. According to police, Lyle had been involved in a high-stakes property deal just months before his death, a deal that, according to insiders, didn't sit well with certain people. Victor Ramirez was a known enforcer for a group that specialized in, let's just say, unconventional business negotiations. Lyle had borrowed money from them for an investment, a deal that later collapsed. Could Lyle's death have been a message? A warning to others who might have crossed the wrong people? It's possible, but once again there was no solid proof. Ramirez had been out of the country when Lyle was murdered, and then there was the theory that sent a chill down the spine of even the most seasoned detectives. Lyle Walker wasn't the only one. Between 1996 and 1999, 3 other men, each of them involved in real estate, were found murdered under eerily similar circumstances. No forced entry, a single gunshot, a missing laptop or file. The police investigated the possibility of a contract killer, someone targeting high-level businessmen for reasons unknown. But if that was the case, why did the murder stop after Lyle? We explored every angle, but nothing fit perfectly. If it was a hitman, they were either extremely careful, or they had a reason to stop after Lyle. And then there's the theory that refuses to die, the one that suggests Lyle Walker wasn't who he claimed to be. Remember those years he disappeared? The time between leaving Ashwood and coming back a new man? No one knows exactly what he was doing, and when police tried to track down records from those years, they found almost nothing. There were whispers, fake identities, hidden bank accounts, a connection to something much bigger than real estate, something dangerous. Did Lyle Walker know something he wasn't supposed to? Was his murder the final act of a life spent running from something or someone? Unsolved clues and mysterious evidence coming up next. Every crime leaves behind a trail, clues, fragments, whispers of the truth waiting to be pieced together. But in the case of Lyle Walker, the closer you look, the more the mystery deepens. Investigators combed through every inch of Lyle Walker's life. His home, his office, his bank records. And yet, some things just didn't make sense. We've talked about the missing private file before, but let's go deeper. What exactly was inside it? I remember it had names, a list maybe. I didn't get a good look, but Lyle was nervous about it. More nervous than I'd ever seen him. A list? A record of deals, blackmail. The police never found out, and whatever was inside that folder vanished the night Lyle died. Then there was the phone call. At 10:12 p.m., just 35 minutes before Lyle's death, he received a call from a number that was never traced. The conversation lasted less than 2 minutes. No caller ID, no records. And when police tried to trace it, they hit a dead end. The number had been rerouted through a system used by, ironically, corporate security firms to protect anonymity. What was said during that call? Was Lyle warned, threatened, or was it the last conversation he ever had with his killer? Perhaps the most bizarre clue of all was what happened to the surveillance footage. The building had security cameras, 4 of them, covering the front entrance, the hallways, and the parking lot. But when police reviewed the footage from that night, they found nothing. That doesn't just happen. It wasn't a power outage. It wasn't a malfunction. Someone disabled those cameras on purpose. Only one frame survived, a distorted image of someone in the hallway outside Lyle's apartment. But the figure is too blurred, too shadowed to identify. And then, there was the safe deposit box. Something almost overlooked in the chaos of the investigation. Lyle Walker had a safe deposit box at a bank across town. But here's where it gets strange. He never accessed it, not once in the last 5 years. And yet he kept paying for it, every single month. When police requested access to the box, they found something unexpected. It was completely empty. What had been inside? And more importantly, who took it? The bank had no records of anyone accessing it. No fingerprints, no security footage of someone entering the vault. Whatever was in that box, Lyle Walker never got the chance to retrieve it. And now, it was gone. Years later, these clues remain just that, clues. Pieces of a puzzle no one has been able to complete. The missing file, the untraceable phone call, the wiped surveillance footage, the empty deposit box. Are these separate mysteries, or do they all connect to one terrifying truth? Somewhere, out there, is the answer. Maybe in an old file buried deep in a forgotten archive. Maybe in the memory of someone who knows more than they're willing to admit. Or maybe in the hands of the very person who wanted Lyle Walker dead. But until that truth is uncovered, Lyle Walker's murder remains one thing above all else, an unsolved mystery. Final thoughts and theories coming up next. Decades have passed since the night Lyle Walker was murdered. The world has changed. But his case remains frozen in time. There have been new theories, new whispers of evidence, even a few suspects brought in for questioning. But the truth? It's still out there, buried beneath layers of secrets, dead ends, and unanswered questions. Officially, Lyle Walker's murder remains an open case, unsolved, but not forgotten. The police still receive tips. The occasional lead still surfaces. But without hard evidence, the case remains at a standstill. Cold case detectives have revisited Lyle's files multiple times, looking for something, anything, they might have missed. Some believe the answer has always been there, hidden in the details. Others think the truth was erased long ago. We had suspects, we had leads, but nothing we could take to court. Whoever did this, they were careful, maybe too careful. In 2019, a potential breakthrough emerged. A former tenant of Lyle's building came forward, claiming they saw something on the night of the murder. Something the police had never heard before. I was coming home late. I saw a man leaving Lyle's apartment. He was in a hurry. But the weird thing? He didn't seem like he was running away. It was like he knew no one would stop him. The witness worked with authorities to create a sketch, but it led nowhere. No match in any database. No one who could be linked to Lyle Walker. We followed every lead, but at this time we still don't have enough to close the case. With advancements in forensic technology, investigators have turned to modern tools to analyze old evidence. AI-driven facial recognition, enhanced surveillance footage, even DNA testing on preserved items from the crime scene. So far, the results have been frustratingly inconclusive. But there's hope that one day, Technology might reveal something that was once invisible to the human eye. While police continue their work, the internet has taken the case into its own hands. True crime enthusiasts, amateur detectives, and conspiracy theorists have dissected every clue, every inconsistency. Think about it. The missing file, the erased footage, the untraceable phone call. This wasn't random, this was a cover-up. Some believe Lyle's murder was part of something bigger. A conspiracy, a contract killing, a secret Lyle had uncovered that cost him his life. Others think the truth is much simpler. That someone close to Lyle, someone with a personal vendetta, managed to pull off the perfect crime. So where does that leave us today? A case still unsolved, a mystery still unanswered, and a story still waiting for its final chapter. Maybe one day, a new lead will emerge. Maybe the right piece of evidence will finally come to light. Or maybe the truth about Lyle Walker will remain buried forever. Final thoughts and unanswered questions coming up next. Lyle Walker lived a life full of secrets, and in the end, it was those secrets that may have led to his death. But even after all these years, one question still remains. Who killed Lyle Walker, and why? We've explored the crime scene, the suspects, the unsolved clues, and the possible motives. Some believe Lyle was silenced because he knew too much. Others think his death was personal, an act of revenge or betrayal. And then, there are those who say this was the perfect crime, one that will never be solved. If Lyle was murdered to cover up something bigger, what was it? Who else was involved? And why has no one ever been charged? Despite the years that have passed, there are still people fighting for answers. Lyle's friends, family, and even complete strangers who refuse to let his story fade away. I just want to know what happened. I want to know why. Lyle didn't deserve this. No one does. Can the mystery of Lyle Walker ever be solved? Maybe. Maybe not. Some cases are cracked decades later, thanks to a new witness, a confession, or a piece of evidence hiding in plain sight. Other cases, they remain forever unanswered, fading into the background of history, known only as chilling mysteries that haunt the past. Lyle Walker was more than a mystery, more than a case file or a headline. He was a person, someone with a life, dreams, and people who cared about him. And somewhere out there, the person or people responsible for his death are still free. Maybe one day the truth will come to light. Maybe someone watching this video knows something. Maybe you do. If you have any information about the Lyle Walker case, contact authorities at hotline number. Because one thing is certain, Lyle Walker's story isn't over. Not yet. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more true crime mysteries.